This is Shanghai, and living here has changed almost everything I thought I knew about China. When most people think about China, they don't think about places like this. They think about politics, headlines, history lessons frozen in time. They really think about cities, neighbourhoods, people, or daily life and the people. So in this video, I want to do something simple. I want to explain how living in Shanghai, not visiting, not studying from afar, but living here changed the way I understand China. Not because Shanghai represents all of China, it doesn't, but because it shows what happens when ideology gives way to reality. Before I came to China, I carried the same mental image many Westerners do. A place that was efficient but cold, orderly but joyless, prosperous maybe, but at a human cost. Those ideas didn't come from nowhere. They came from decades of repetition in news, documentaries, political speeches, and casual conversation. Then I arrived in Shanghai, and what I found wasn't a system. I found a city. People late for work, parents arguing with kids on the metro, elderly couples dancing in parks at night, young people worried about rent, careers, relationships, and the future. In other words, life. That's when something clicked for me. Most conversations about China don't start with Chinese people. Shanghai is messy, loud, ambitious, anxious, creative, materialistic, traditional, modern, often all at once. It's a city where 100-year-old lane houses sit beside a glass tower. Street vendors operate next to luxury malls. Grandparents raise children while parents work. People complain openly, constantly about prices, traffic, their bosses, the local government. This isn't what a cartoon dictatorship looks like. And yet, when people talk about China from afar, Shanghai almost disappears from the conversation. Why? Because it complicates the story. One of the most common things I hear is, I understand China looks impressive, but China is a communist dictatorship. That's fair. History should bother us. But here's the thing living in Shanghai teaches you very quickly. History doesn't live the same way everywhere. China's modern history was violent, chaotic, and traumatic. So was the modern history of almost every other country that exists today. What's different is how often China is asked to keep revisiting its past, as if the present doesn't exist. Shanghai didn't become what it is by forgetting history. It became this by moving through it. From the outside, 1949 is often framed as a moral rupture. From inside China, it's remembered as the end of the collapse. Before the Communist Party took power, China wasn't a stable country that suddenly lost freedom. It was exhausted by wars, invasions, corruptions, famine, fragmentation, 185 years of forced opium trade, and 250 years of high addiction rates. For nearly a century, parts of China operated under foreign law, foreign police, and foreign courts inside China's own boundaries. Shanghai itself tells the story. If you know where to look, old concessions, war memorials, neighbourhoods shaped by the displacement. The communists didn't win simply because of ideology. They won because they were seen at the time as a way out of chaos. You don't have to like that outcome, but dismissing it all as illegitimate requires ignoring the conditions that produced it. China's early decades included serious mistakes: the Great Leap Forward, the Cultural Revolution. These aren't secrets here. They're taught, discussed, and widely recognised as failures. What's unusual is what happened after. China didn't double down forever. It changed direction. Few countries and histories have pivoted so radically and so successfully within one generation. Shanghai is a physical record of that pivot. It's easier to debate systems in theory. It's harder when you're surrounded by the outcomes. Shanghai is not a miracle city because of ideology. It's a result of stability, of long-term planning, infrastructure investment, gradual reform, and relentless pragmatism. People here judge government legitimacy less by slogans and more by whether life improves. That doesn't make them brainwashed. It makes them practical. Here's something that surprises many visitors. People in Shanghai talk far more about housing prices, education pressure, health and wellness, jobs, ageing parents. They talk far less about abstract political ideology. This doesn't mean they don't think. It just means their priorities are grounded in daily life. And that raises an uncomfortable question for outsiders. If people feel their lives are improving, on what basis do we insist they are wrong? Living here also teaches you how distance shapes narratives. When something goes wrong in China, it becomes proof of systemic failure. When something goes right, it's dismissed as propaganda. Their symmetry should make everyone pause. Shanghai doesn't feel like a place hiding collapse. It feels like a place managing pressure, density, inequality, ambition, the same pressures facing every global city. I'm not going to claim every policy decision in China is perfect. That would be dishonest. What I will say is that seeing China firsthand makes simple stories impossible. When you travel, talk to people and observe daily life, slogans stop working. Reality doesn't fit neatly into Western talking points or Chinese official statements. It's complicated, and complication is exactly what long-distance narrative erase. The West is fed non-stop negativity about Chinese government, evil machine, total control, etc., etc. The vast majority of Chinese people actually support the government, because over the decades, the government has delivered for regular people. Life expectancy jumped massively under Mao. Extreme poverty basically wiped out. High-speed rail everywhere, subways in cities most Westerners have never heard of. Even the crackdown on billionaires. They're quite quietly happy someone finally put a leash on these tycoons. It doesn't mean you have to love the system. It just means the story we're sold in the West is missing half the story. Richard Explores Shanghai isn't about defending a system. It's about showing a place, walking streets, listening, paying attention. Because once you see real life here, not curated, not politicised, it becomes very hard to maintain certainty based only on what you've been told. I didn't come to China to change my views. I came for work, for curiosity, for life. My views changed because reality kept contradicting the story. You don't have to agree with China, but you owe it to yourself to question whether the picture you've been given is complete. Shanghai doesn't ask for approval, it just exists. And sometimes seeing clearly is more unsettling than judging from afar.